His Highness Mr. Sohrab Khan Talpur, the founder of Khairpur, ruled his state from 1783. His states ranged from Nowshera-Feroz to Mittencourt, and in India from Shahgarh to Gandhava. At present, this state is now confined to the present Khairpur district, covering an area of 16,000 square kilometers. The former state is a proud possessor of architectural excellence and grandeur in the construction of Sohrab Fort, Diwan-e-Aam, Tucker Bungalow, Faiz Mahal, etc. during the dynastic rule of Mir's family, a clear indicator of the progress, prosperity and wealth of the former state. Realizing the importance of wildlife and concomitant attendant ecological balance, Mir Sohrab Khan Talpur, the founder of the kingdom, established Murano Game Reserve in 1790. His Highness Mir Ali Murad Khan Talpur II has led an eventful and extraordinary life. Crowned as the ruler of the princely state of Khairpur in Sindh at a tender age of 14, he had to return from England, bidding farewell to his studies at Cambridge, to formally take over the reins of power in 1951 at the age of 18. With a vision informed by nobility and enlightenment, he brought about a series of democratic reforms which led to the breakdown of his family's traditional hold over the state. Such revolutionary reforms, ostensibly not in the interest of the family, transformed Khairpur into a prosperous state and a proud possessor of architectural grandeur, an impeccable judiciary, and an independent legislature. Among the orphans brought up by the altruistic rulers of the dynasty, 3 became the chief ministers of Sindh. Recognizing the importance of nature and protection of the ecosystem, the family has remained committed to its preservation and promotion, even at the cost of personal financial risks and losses. Reflecting solemnly on the Murano Lake, His Highness Mir Ali Murad Khan Talpur II states that it was now the last vestige of the original ecological face of Upper Sindh. It was saddening for him to note how the agricultural fields were invading the sanctuaries and irretrievably damaging biodiversity. A thoughtful, soft-spoken and unassuming man, now in his 70s, His Highness Mir Ali Murad Khan Talpur II prefers to stay with a small circle of close friends and family. With a deep concern for the protection of Murano, His Highness Mir Ali Murad Khan Talpur II explains how they had single-handedly, without waiting for governmental support, assumed the responsibility for its protection, and that how difficult it had been to stave off the overwhelming spread of negative environmental influences threatening it. Comprising of a riverine forest, grassland, desert habitat and a small lake, Murano is a sprawling private wildlife refuge covering an area of 1 square mile or about 640 acres. Journeying through the 1200 acres of agricultural land owned by the Mirs, a wildlife forest forming Murano's core zone, sequestered in the agricultural heartland, greets one. Acacia, Nilotica, Salvidora and Prosopis cineroria trees dominate the forest vegetation, along with other characteristic features of the natural landscape. Venturing into the forest, a sense of harmony with nature and calm soothes one's heart and soul. Prince Mir Mehdi Raza Khan Talpur has very courageously assumed the responsibility of taking care of protecting and conserving the cultural heritage against increasingly difficult circumstances. He is passionate about wildlife and biodiversity in the region. Deep into the heart of the forest, there stands a multi-storied hunting lodge. A narrow staircase leads to the roof, where a grand panoramic view of lush forest canopy is a visual treat to behold. As the sun sets, the still serenity and calm of the forest is only made intriguing and soothing by the rustlings of birds and animals below. In a traditional spirit of hospitality, the Mies family honors their guests by hosting royal dinners and grand outdoor lunches. Exotic delicacies are served and relished by the guests. Wooden boxes have been prepared and fixed in the old trees of Ficus religiosa and Ficus bengalensis to help breed parrots whose numbers are declining. A migratory species seen in winters is green pigeon. The color resembles the name, and these birds are totally camouflaged on the trees of Ficus species, which is their most liked resting place. Brown partridges roost in the bushes and are well adapted to survival in harsh climates. Another variation is the black partridge, a much coveted trophy for illegal hunters. It is becoming rare with each passing day. The black partridge pairs in November and the breeding season starts from March to May. Deep inside the forest, a number of specially constructed hides have been provided for viewing the main species. Blackbuck, hawk deer, wild boar, and resident and non-resident migratory birds that come from as far as Siberia. The hides are located well inside the dense forest, and a mass of matted under wood carpets one's feet along the way. Luxuriant sedge and abundant rank weed surround the lake, a favorite haunt of waterfowls. Ten different species of waterfowls densely populate the lake at Murano during the winter season, affording a unique opportunity to view and study these lovely feathered friends. Viewing playful and joyous waterfowls basking in the sun carries one away from the stresses and anxiety of modern life into gaining poise and a fresh perspective on life. Strategically placed hides have been effectively camouflaged to afford wildlife viewing from close quarters. Long grass abounds in the forest. Talpurs are very fond of wildlife. Entire villages have been moved further along the banks of the river so that the human activities do not disturb it. Villagers are educated to live in harmony with the wildlife and not alarm them or disrupt their repose. Wild boars promptly respond to the feeder's primal and appealing chants and rush out of the bushes to sever a convenient grain snack. The hawk deer is a timid and helpless animal that has been mercilessly persecuted. Its skin is precious, its meat is widely enjoyed, and live animals are often given as gifts. In the area of the Talpur meads, the shikargahs of the ruling family are located all along the banks of the river Indus, often stretching for miles. Murano is all that remains of these vast riverine forests, which served as dikes to the river and prevented the desert from encroaching upon the fertile valley plain. In a region where irrigated agriculture and massive deforestation has destroyed the original ecosystem, Murano is also the last stronghold of the hawk deer in Pakistan, numbering in hundreds. Murano can serve as a lab of biodiversity in the region. Murano is a special reminder of the natural landscape that was once home to Asiatic rhinos and lions. Few numbers of Chinkara Ghazal are also being bred within the mud-walled area. At present, this species is seen throughout the 4 provinces in Pakistan and is fully protected under law. A small section of the refuge is cordoned off by a high mud-walled enclosure. The area is home to one of the largest herds of Blackbuck in Pakistan, numbering in thousands. One of Murano's biggest achievements has been the successful breeding in captivity of the Blackbuck, an antelope species indigenous to the desert plains of the subcontinent that had all but disappeared from the region. In 1987, His Highness Mir Ali Murad Khan Talpur II enclosed a small area in Murano to start captive breeding of an almost extinct herd originally protected by his ancestor Mir Ali Murad Khan Talpur I in 1865. Blackbucks are still being bred at Murano from that old stock, along with the addition of new stock in 1987. Today, the blackbucks can be seen roaming freely in the confines of their enclosure at Murano, an awe-inspiring sight. The guests are invited to enjoy a deer safari and an up-close viewing of these graceful animals. Nature has always blessed those who have understood the message of conserving nature, along with its associated wildlife. The boarding of all species of wildlife on Noah's Ark is a testimony to the fact that nothing can maintain and restore ecological balance other than these natural gifts that must be protected at all costs.